Somebody has to get on here and say the truth about Jake Paul, and I got to be the guy to step up to the plate.
This is high-speed chess. That's what you're watching.
So with bases loaded, Jerry jigs up to the plate. I'm gonna hit it out the park. What happened with Paul on Saturday against Cesar Chavez Jr.? Not only is Cesar Chavez Jr. a guy who's typically fighting at 160 in his prime, so the win doesn't mean much to me, especially now. Cesar Chavez was never a terrific boxer, but even at this, well, especially at this point in his career, he's not a great boxer. Jake Paul is an image, right? He's an image. He's a product on a shelf to be sold. Jake Paul isn't an actual boxer. He's not. I got to be honest. He's not. Jake Paul is looking for guys who were maybe potentially boxing or fighting, but they have no legit shot at beating him. Jake Paul wants to be the good guy, and he wants to be the bad guy, but ultimately he's the bad guy. What do I mean by that? Jake Paul wants to bring all these boxers on this undercard and sign all these other boxers and like say, hey, look at me. Look at what MVP Promotions is doing. This is great. I'm giving these women boxers a bigger platform. I'm giving these boxers like Schofield, Zurdo, Barrios the privilege to fight on my undercard, right? And I give it to him. It fools a lot of people. It doesn't fool me. You're bull and you know it. You're a piece of and you know it. These fights are fixed. These fights are rigged. So yes, while you are helping these boxers, and let's not forget, these boxers are helping you as well. Somebody has to fight on the undercard, right? And having these boxers fight under you also uplifts you, right? So it's not just a one-sided thing. Like, you're not doing this because you care for these boxers. Obviously, it is business at the end of the day. But while you're helping these boxers, you're kind of shitting on your fans. Have you thought about that? I want to look at the Cesar Chavez Jr. stats with Paul. In round one, Cesar Chavez throws 4 punches. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? He goes 0 for 4 in the first round. Second round, he throws 7 punches. Third round, he throws 3 punches. And this is CompuBox, so every little flick, every little probe counts as a punch. So 4 punches is almost 0. 7 and 2, 3 punches in 3, 12 punches in 4, 10 punches in 5, 16 and 6, 11 and 7, 25 and 8. He only went over 30 punches twice in that fight, which is still some of the lowest output you can find in boxing. The fight was rigged, guys. You're stealing money from your fans. Am I mad? Yes, I am mad to a degree. Yes, I am mad. But these kids keep buying the bullshit, man. He's stealing money. Am I the only person seeing this? How is Cesar Chavez Jr., a multi-millionaire, former world champion, has access to probably any gym, any camp through the networking of his Hall of Fame father? How is he going into a, 6-month camp, knowing he's going to fight Jake Paul and throw 14 punches combined in the first 3 rounds? The biggest fight of his life at this point, outside the Alvarez fight, against a guy who's not even a fraction of Canelo, but he's probably making the same amount of money. He has no motivation to win. None at all. Like I said, I see through Jake's bullshit. Say that. Editors, if we want to bleep out everything I'm saying here, because if we don't want to, all right, it's bull. It is. You are trying to put on these fights and make it seem like you're this boxer. Dog, you're not fighting Zurdo. You know that, right? You're not fighting Zurdo. The light is bright. That's why I keep my shades on. You're not fighting Badou Jack. I hope Jake understands this. Now, Jake, he would fight Canelo because Canelo would give him an ass whooping, but a lot of fans would sit here and say, it's Canelo Alvarez, right? Even though Canelo couldn't beat Zurdo, more people know Canelo More people think Canelo's better and the biggest name and the best fighter of all time. And Canelo is so much smaller than Jake. It's gonna be hard for Canelo to knock him out cold how Zurdo would do. I'm gonna be honest. Zurdo Ramirez, you're not fighting him. Why aren't you fighting him? Because Jake Paul's whole image is people wanting to see him lose and pretty much knocked out cold, and people wondering if he's a world champion. So the whole buildup, the whole suspense of his career is he a world champion level fighter? The answer is no. But there's a lot of people who aren't as bright as me who believe maybe Jake could fight for a world title. Maybe Jake is a cruiserweight contender, and he's not. But that is the suspense of his career. That is what has everybody on the edge of their seats. Is he going to lose? And can he become a world-class contender or world champion? I'm going to tell you right now, he's not becoming a world champion. He's not. You know, like I said, if he was to fight Zurdo and Badou Jack, it would end in a stoppage in the first 3 rounds. That's not a good look for his image. And like I said, the guy's nothing but an image. So him being out cold, unconscious in the first 3, it's not a good look for his image. He wouldn't do that. It's too much of a brand risk for him to go in there and get knocked out. Yes, it's against a world champion, but that takes away from the suspense of his career. So if you go in there with a world champion and you show everybody you're nowhere close to world champion level, there's no more suspense. There's no more questions to be asked. We know, okay, you're not world champion. You're far from it, and you'll probably never be there. So why am I tuning into the next fight? I've seen you lose. I've seen you be knocked out, and I've seen it against a world champion. So why is there a next fight? You would have to go back to the streamer, influencer, KSI, Deji, all that, you know, whatever that is. There's no more fighting real boxers anymore. Like I said, Jake is he's smart. I give him that much. He's a genius in marketing. He's a genius in terms of pissing people off. The guy is disrespectful, disgraceful to the sport of boxing. I can see through all the little mirrors and facades and all the stuff he tries to put up. The guy's not fighting Zurdo. The guy's not fighting Badou Jack. The guy doesn't want to fight KSI. The guy he's not fighting any cruiserweight contender. He called out Anthony Joshua and Gervonta Davis as well. No. How are you gonna call out a 260 pounder and a 130 pounder? Why do you want to fight Tank? I'm gonna be honest, he'll beat Tank. Tank is too small. It's just too small. It's not impressive though. He's about 100 pounds heavier than Tank. But I would like to see Eddie Hearn. I would like to see Frank Warren put some contracts on the table. Let's put some public contracts up. Jake Paul, a contract with Mr. Jai Opetaia. That's right, Jai Opetaia, with a rematch clause built in. So they'll get to fight twice. And whoever pulls out of the second fight gets a fine or whatever, gets sued. So Jai Opetaia's with Matchroom, Eddie Hearn's Matchroom. Let's send a contract for Anthony Joshua, who's a part of Eddie Hearn's Matchroom. Again, a rematch clause. And let's send him a contract for Mr. Daniel Dubois, who's with Frank Warren's Queensberry. Daniel Dubois said he'd fight him. I want contracts out there publicly. It's not going to take away from any of these guys' career. AJ could fight in September, fight Jake in the same month probably. That's how much I don't like this guy. I want to see him against these guys, Opetaia, Dubois, and Joshua. That's how much I don't like this guy. But like I said, man, somebody has to keep it honest with you guys. Unfortunately, that has to be me. Jake Paul, I can't stress it enough. Stealing from his fans. This is just straight up robbery. All right. This isn't Floyd Mayweather when Floyd said he robbed fans. All right. This isn't that. Floyd was still there fighting world-class fighters, putting on shows, showing guys he couldn't be hit. You know, Floyd made it look so easy that he claimed it to be robbery. Jake Paul, this is bad. You're selling a false product. You're selling a false hope, and you're exploiting your younger fans. If you really cared about boxing, you would try to work your way up the cruiserweight rankings. You would stop fighting guys who are 160, 180, 190. Fight a cruiserweight. Fight somebody 200 pounds on the dot. Right? Fight somebody 200 pounds and work your way up the rankings. Get ranked by the WBA. Ask the WBA for some contenders. Fight some top 50 guys on the planet. Fight some top 10 guys in America. It makes boxing look really bad to see a guy could come in this sport like this and kind of shake it up the way he's done it without fighting anybody of any relevance. I don't like Jake Paul, guys.